Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey friends, please take a minute and imagine. Just imagine how you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. It's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, it makes for a very happy life. And so can Davitria Harrell. She's my guest star today, and she's here to share her unique journey to her life of significance. Hey, Davitria, welcome to the Something Significant Show.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Just take a minute and tell us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world.
Okay. Well, I left the world of sales and I am running a nonprofit called Fundamentally Sound and Skilled in Life, Memphis. And our whole objective is to intentionally empower, educate, and equip inner city, middle and high school female student athletes to become college-educated, purpose-driven citizens through coaching, mentoring, and training and excellence. And being able to really impact the next generation is something that I love, empowering, educating, equipping, but especially the next generation. People I love, God's inheritance, his children. And in the place I love, I'm back home in Memphis after being gone for 25 years. And a lot of my friends are like, you're leaving a six-figure job to go back to Memphis and do a nonprofit where you have to raise your own salary. And I just love what I'm doing. And create something of value, a foundation to build from, and you know how in the Bible, when Paul ministered to the guard, he said, you and your household should be saved. And so being able to minister to the young ladies, they go back home and impact their families. And so we try to do generational ministry.
I love it. And I also noticed, so you mentioned sales, and that was in insurance, I think, right?
Yes.
Yep. And then what's going on with your background in art in the Art Institute?
Art Institute, I was National Director of Business Development. They brought me in to create their adult recruitment division. They traditionally had only recruited high school students, and I was a regional director of business development for another proprietary school. So they brought me in, and they own Art Institute, South University, and one other school. And so I created the adult recruitment division. So I had 22 reps nationwide, and what we did was we created opportunities for matriculation agreements, contract procurement to get those corporations to send their employees to our school. So I had 22 reps nationwide, traveled about 85% of the time, and did very well. We made 150% of our goal, but I just didn't have a sense of joy in what I was doing, even though I made very good money.
Yeah, well, there you go. And how long have you been 100% fundamentally sound focused?
Since September. I worked for another nonprofit here in Memphis for 3 years, and I had to raise my own salary, which is a paradigm shift for me. But what I realized, fundraising is just like sales, and I've done sales and done it very successfully on a high level. And so when I realized, wow, I can fundraise, I decided that I wanted to target female student athletes. And so I launched out on my own and stepped out on faith. And we've already adopted some schools. I already had 3 skills camps. We have a camp for foster children going on this Saturday. But I wanted to impact a little corner that I felt called to. And so that's why I just jumped out there and did it.
That's awesome. All right, Davitria, let's do a little mathematics now, and let our friends across the World Wide Web get to know you through the equation of our happy formula. And you know the one, it's simple, but it's very powerful. Capacity plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with capacity. What are your practices for building your personal capacity, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional? In other words, Davitria, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the capacity you need to take good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over to give to others?
Okay. Well, physically, I swim 3 to 5 days a week to keep my physical capacity up. I do all of my annual physicals and everything, and I follow the Mediterranean diet. And it's kind of like the blood type diet. So it's a combination of the two of those. And I found that the Mediterranean diet works best for my blood type. Mentally, I read diverse books to keep myself sharp. And sometimes I go back and revisit books. Right now, I'm revisiting the Malcolm Gladwell series. Spiritually, yeah, I'm sure you've heard of Malcolm Gladwell.
Great stuff.
Tipping Point and Outliers and David and Goliath. Spiritually, obviously, a part of a local church. I have prayer partners and accountability partners. And I also do assessments once or twice a week to determine if I have any level of offense, if there's anybody I need to forgive and release and be free of and everything. And so I make those assessments at least a couple of times weekly. Financially, I have, of course, a financial advisor to help me with retirement. But also I have a very close friend, family friend, who is much better with finances than I am. And so he's my accountability partner. And he's helping me create a budget so that I can be debt free by a certain date. And then emotionally, I still go lay on that couch about every other month. And and still do my psychotherapy and everything to make sure I'm balanced.
That's great. And just give us 30 seconds on how the feeling when you're tending to all those areas of your health and wellness, including finance, the feeling of calm that it gives you, because it doesn't make everything right, but it's this movement towards everything being better and right.
Yes. As a matter of fact, when you feel as if your business is in order, you're able to focus on ministry much better. But when things are chaotic, it flows into what you're doing.
All right. Well, before moving on to purpose, or we could call that ministry as well, let's discuss my very favorite capacity building concept called having a Kaizen state of mind. And Kaizen is this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. A Kaizen state of mind is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than I did today. So it's a positive mindset. It's optimistic. It creates this gentle and yet powerful and continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So Davitria, how does a Kaizen state of mind help you to increase your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Well, I lost my mom when I was like 20 years old. And so I have a group of older women. The word talks about older women training the younger women. And I believe very strongly in the wisdom of older women. And so I have 3 older women that I spend a significant amount of time with. And I have one that is that are my business mentors. And I see them, I talk to them about quarterly. And so, you're talking about accountability. They are both CEOs and presidents of their respective organizations, and they hold me accountable. And so basically, we have our conversations and everything. And when you got people like that, you already have to have a list of what you want to talk about. So you're not wasting any time. But the accountability, going back and making, what did you do the last thing I told you? And I'm never going to waste their time and go, well, no, I really didn't do what you told me last time, because I'm ready for some new stuff. So the accountability with them is really something that I really look forward to in terms of encouragement, business-wise, physical-wise, emotional. They kind of cover the whole gamut. Additionally, I'm really, really serious about becoming debt-free. I want to be debt-free. And so my financial advisor, he's put me on a budget. I'm not always real happy with that budget, but I'm getting better and I'm seeing myself improve on my spending. Some of the frivolous spending, that can go towards a credit card, that can pay this off and everything. And so my house, getting incremental income. I have 2 master suites in my house. And so I rent one of the rooms out, and that pays 2 or 3 bills a month. So, I mean, just being a good steward. And, the word says the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous, but you have to be ready to be a good steward before God will release that to you. And then reading. I read a great deal. I have 4 bookshelves in my bedroom alone. And Sometimes I'm reading new books, and sometimes I'm revisiting books. So my reading, I'm always reading to try to continue to improve myself.
Very good. And your accountability partners, and also, what did you say when you were talking about your practices, that every once in a while you do a reflection or you look back and make decisions? What did you call that?
My assessments to see if I need to forgive, if I need to forgive anybody, release anybody. If there's anybody I need to clear out, that's what I do.
So your personal assessments and your accountability partners is kind of a structured way of Kaizen, of,
yes,
making sure you're getting further, or I think like getting rid of something as well, failing fast and moving on for something that's not serving you.
Right, exactly. Because every good thing is not a God thing.
Very good. Okay, so let's dive into purpose, the second element of the happy formula. And I've observed that major life transformations, the big stuff, and discovery of purpose or discovering your ministry often comes from devastation, addictions, disease, death, disaster, some big crisis strips a life to its core. However, in my second book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Davitria? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
I would have to say, Matt, it was the death of my mother, February 3rd, 1989. I just turned 20 years old, and I was so depressed. I was playing basketball for the University of Memphis at that time. I transferred from Kentucky to come home to take care of my mom. Okay. And we had together, we had been very abused with my father. And then when she divorced my father, then she became the abusive alcoholic. But I took the chance to come home and take care of her when she became terminally ill. But when she died, I was so depressed, I checked myself into a psych unit. And so I was sitting there, my mom's gone, my father had abandoned me after the divorce. And I was sitting on the psych unit, and I said, I survived my childhood for some reason.
Any brothers or sisters?
I was raised an only child.
Only child, so the family is gone.
Yes. And so, so shortly after my mom died, I graduated from college, and my first job was on a juvenile psych unit. So I'm sitting there during the nap time in the middle, so I could see both hallways. This young lady came out, and she says, Miss Harrell, can I talk to you? Well, they call me Coach D. I said, sure. She comes down, she says, Coach D, forget it. I don't want to talk to you. You don't know what it's like to be abused, abandoned, betrayed, and suicidal and damaged, and feel like damaged goods. And so, like when I was on that psych unit, I felt like I have survived my childhood for some reason. But then the reason clicked right then. She said, Miss Harrell, why am I going to waste time talking to you? You don't know what it's like. I said, actually, I do. I know what it's like to be damaged, because I had been sexually abused by my grandmother. And when I tried to connect with my father, he tried to rape me. So I knew what it's like to feel abused and damaged, to feel abandoned. My dad abandoned me after the divorce. I know what it's like to be betrayed. My mom betrayed me because she became the abusive alcoholic after the divorce. And then I remember being suicidal. I said, so I have been at all those places. And I remember in the weight room when I was an athlete, they had a big sign on the wall, no pain, no gain. Well, I changed that. My motto is no pain in vain, no pain in vain. And so I was able to start ministering. I said, that's it. I'm supposed to minister to kids who've been abused and felt damaged, and let them know that what God says about you supersedes whatever has happened to you, and whatever abuse you've experienced. God says you are still the beloved and you are of value. And so that really, really framed what I was supposed to be doing. So
this was you were 20 years old.
Yes.
Early 20s rather.
Yes.
So how many years ago? I don't mean to, 20, 30 years ago?
Oh, that was 30 years ago. 31 years ago.
Okay, you just got to fundamentally sound just recently.
Right.
So you discovered this this is your reason, this is your ministry. How do you talk about the pathway taking 30 years and how did it continue to fuel you through getting healthy, becoming a salesperson, doing business work, and finally getting into coaching? And so explain that just a little bit, because one of the things I think is really important is it's one thing when you discover what you want to do, you got to hold on to it with everything you got. But that doesn't mean you can just rush out and start doing it, because you have to take care of life too.
Right.
So
what I did,
how do we get there?
I became a children's and youth pastor at the age of 22.
Okay.
I was a children's youth pastor, was ordained and everything. I was student minister first, and then I became a children's youth pastor at an inner city church, worked there for 4 or 5 years. I went to seminary after undergrad, and then I moved to Oklahoma to get some practical ministry training. And so there is where I started Fundamentally Sound, is when I started doing these outreach camps to minister to kids. Because when my needs were more cooperative, I would drive through the projects and I'd say, hey, come on, let's go to Bible study. And they said, oh, no, lady, we don't want to go. I said, well, I tell you what, if I can beat all of y'all, then y'all come to Bible study. And so I beat them. I took my loafers off, put my sneakers on. I beat them. And they said, look, just get in the van. The woman can play. Don't get embarrassed. Just go to church. And so that's when I started doing basketball lessons and training and doing church camps and corporate camps to minister. So I've been teaching basketball. At that point, I use basketball as a means to get the kids, to engage them and to do ministry. So I've been doing this since I was 20 years old.
Great, good stuff. And then one more thing on the transition from feeling depressed and abandoned and having that child come up to you in the hallway and discovering it. How quickly was that discovery? Was it some instant thing that you went from hopeless to hopeful, or did it take a period of time for you to figure it out?
It took a period of time. I knew what I was supposed to do, but I also knew that I needed some healing myself to be able to have the capacity to minister to the kids I needed to minister to, because I had gone through some serious hell. Yeah. And so I started some intensive therapy myself, and that young lady I actually ended up being her emergency foster parent because she lost a placement. So she and I still have a relationship to this day. It was interesting. I was a 23-year-old grad student, seminary student, and she was 15 years old, and I was her guardian, and we looked around the same age. So I caught her skipping class, and I took her back to the school, and the principal, I had to show the paperwork for him to even believe I was her guardian, because we looked the same age. So I've been doing this work since I was 20.
Good stuff. Okay, Davitria, let's pause here so I can tell everyone about 3 things.
Okay.
How they can get crystal clear about what they want from life, and then how they can design their life on purpose so they'll get it, and how Happy Living is standing by to help them. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live, and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WITV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WITV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant show. And I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Davitria Harrell. I'm going to get it right before the end of the show. Also known as Coach D. So Davitria, I love this article called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. I found it on lifescience.com, and it says the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. It says there's compelling scientific data to support the notion that giving one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose, transcending difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I've updated the formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So what do you think, Davitria, from your own experience, have you found that giving your time and talents and treasures has been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties you've faced and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Absolutely. Someone always says that bees hum when they're making honey, and if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And so, with my giving, when I'm walking in that purpose and giving what I'm supposed to give of myself, and it does transcend difficulties. I had recently the worst case of tartar dyskinesia the doctor said they'd ever seen, but I was coaching a middle school.
Explain to our audience what that means.
Tartar dyskinesia is that they have that commercial. I have this involuntary body movement. It's an adverse reaction to meds. And so I had that going on, couldn't drive for a couple of weeks, couple months actually. And I was coaching a middle school girls team, and the girls were like, "Coach, do you have Tourette syndrome?" No, I don't have Tourette syndrome. So I had to kind of explain to them what it was and all that kind of stuff. But giving back to them and watching them succeed and watching them improve in their game and improve as young ladies, and praying with them, I was able to overcome the difficulty, because at first they thought I had Parkinson's or MS. And so that was really, really scary. But continuing to minister gave me the energy to continue to go on.
Yeah.
But in terms of like with difficulties, what I do is I've been through some difficult things in this 53 years of life. And I do what I call memorial stones of what God has done, God's past exploits. He brought me through the tartar dyskinesia, through the depression, through the suicide ideations, through the household abuse. And so God is faithful. And I just remind myself, I do my 12 stones. What has God done? And so like right now, I just got a cancer diagnosis, and my family, that I shared it with them, whatever, they took it worse than I did. And my thing is, I have way too much to do to die now. So I'm gonna, of course, go to the oncologist and get my course of treatment or whatever. But with the sense of purpose that I have, I can still skip on through and keep on doing it. Keep on doing what I got to do. And as an organization, we tithe. This organization, we tithe. So we give of what we bring in. So yes. I believe in giving regardless, and giving can transcend difficulties, because you're living in purpose. You're right there, self-actualized.
Yep, and that's the science. It actually creates its own power. And I agree with it 100%. I love the wonderful feeling that comes from what's our fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value to others, giving. And I know from experience that the magic of life comes not from getting more, but it's from giving more. But there's more to it than that. It's not just the giving that's magical, I think, Davitria. What I've been exploring and experiencing too is it's when you're giving specifically from living in your purpose. That's where the real magic is. So tell us, Davitria, how does it make you feel when you're giving to others through the coaching and training and mentoring that you were designed for, that you were put on this planet to do, and one of your athletes says, "Thank you, Coach D, for seeing me." And another says, I want to know your God, the God that gives you that much peace in crisis. And another says, Coach D, while teaching me basketball, you have taught me a lot about how to live. So Coach D, how does all that make you feel?
It makes me feel as if I'm doing exactly what I was born to do full time, because I've done it like many times part-time and been in my sales job, and that funded me doing it. But I said, I'm going all in doing this full time. I feel, as Martin Luther King says, self-actualized. I'm doing what I was born to do. And it's a self-fulfillment that you have.
It feels great, doesn't it?
It feels amazing.
And that's it. That's the magic. It's one great big happy circle, Davitria. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose. And giving from living your purpose brings profound joy to your life. So giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So to more properly reflect the exponential power of the happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a bit more. It should be capacity times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Is that sounding about right to you?
It does.
Very good. All right, let's wrap things up with a lightning round. I'll read a few of my very favorite quotes and then you respond to us telling what it means to you. The first thing that comes to mind, because it's called a lightning round.
Okay.
I have some prepared for you, but based on what we just talked about, I'm going to give you one that came from my past to start with. And it says, your day belongs to another's dream.
My day belongs to another's dream. This passage of scripture that comes to mind immediately when you said that was, all of creation is waiting for the manifestation and groaning, waiting for the manifestation of the children of God. And so there's somebody waiting to hear for me to get over what I have to get over so I can help them get over what they have to get over. Somebody else's deliverance is waiting on me.
Love it. From Hemingway, the world breaks everyone, and afterward, some are strong at the broken places.
World breaks for everyone. And some
the world breaks everyone.
The world breaks everyone.
Yep. And afterwards, some are strong at the broken places.
Absolutely. After having broken my arm and had to rehab many, many times, that broken place, there's purpose in that brokenness. In that brokenness comes strength. Because we're all broken, but in that broken place comes strength.
Yeah, very good. From John Wooden, sports don't build character, they reveal it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You either are a hard worker when you get to the court or you're lazy. It's one or the other. You can't, I learned as a coach and as a player, you can't build character and hard work. You either got it when you come in there or you don't.
Good stuff. From Lao Tzu, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage.
Ooh. Loving someone deeply gives you courage, because loving someone deeply is a risk. And so it takes courage to be able to give yourself, and loving someone like deeply takes a great deal of courage, because it's giving yourself and being vulnerable, and that's risky.
Oh, very good. From Leonardo da Vinci, while I thought I was learning how to live, I have been learning how to die.
Well, every day we're living, it's like Miles Monroe says, to know the purpose of a thing, you are less likely to abuse it. But as we're giving, we're actually getting closer and closer to our second date on that tombstone. And so as we give, we're giving out. I want to give the last thing I'm supposed to give before I go. And I'm always working to replace myself.
So you're a big reader, you said, and what you just reminded me of, there's a great book I'll recommend to you and the entire audience. I already have before. It's called Die Broke. And you'll love it for that attitude that you just talked about, giving of yourself until the very end, but also it's really great on retirement and financial planning. And I highly recommend it. Die Broke. Okay, this is the show anchor quotes from Goff. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Say it again, Matt.
Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Hey, no time better than the present. It's time to do whatever it is you're called to do. Let's get it going.
I think that's what Coach D looks like. Hey, you scared me just a second there. Okay, now folks, that was a great answer. Now folks, it's your turn to be a giver too. If you can hear my voice and were inspired by today's show with Davitria Harrell, please share some love with our magnificent broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Davitria, I love your mission to empower, educate, and equip female student athletes to become college-educated, purpose-driven citizens through your coaching, training, and mentoring. And I admire your devotion to intentionally helping young women overcome disadvantaged environments mired by crime and teen pregnancy and school dropouts and youth hopelessness. And I'm super happy that you've shared your ministry of hope on our show today. Please take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to share with our audience.
Thank you, Matt. I would encourage anyone to go look at our website, fsslmemphis.org. Our goal is to be a national organization and to expand our organization. So please check our website out and pray for us, pray for our vision and everything. And if you want to sow, we'll be more than happy.
Wonderful. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Davitria and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life and Happy Living. If you're ready to create and live your inspired life, folks, the one you and only you were meant to live, we're ready to help. Just go to happyliving.com, select e-course, and let's get started today. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Davitria Harrell. Find her, friend her, learn all about her organization called Fundamentally Sound in Skill and Life. It's all available at fsslmemphis.org. That's F for fundamentally, S for sound, S for skill, L for life, Memphis as in Tennessee.org. One more time, fsslmemphis.org. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. And to help you, just go to happyliving.com right now and take our happy quiz. Because when you measure your happy, you'll focus your attention on it. And focusing attention on it inspires change and learning and improvement to flow right into your life. And once you take the quiz, and it only takes a minute, then I hope you'll give some thought about what we can do together, you and me. Give some thought to what we can do together this year to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. We're out.